Next up, Frank Fiss.
This isn't going anywhere. All right, let's scrunch down. Okay, as Chairman Holbert pointed out, none of these expansions will require any additional state dollars to be used. We've got seven items that will total $575,900. Okay. The first one is, I have these organized by where they're going to end up in the agency budget ultimately. So these two are combined because they affect hatchery improvements. The Tennessee Valley Authority has graciously given us $100,000 towards our work at hatchery improvements, notably at Normandy Hatchery. And Brookfield Renewable has given us $125,000 for our help in restocking the lake down at Chilhowie where they had to do work. So these funds will be put together and used for hatchery improvements. The second item is, again, funding from TVA, from a different pool of money apparently within TVA, to construct ADA access to a fishing pier at Normandy Reservoir and to remove asbestos from a dilapidated property that's associated with Normandy Hatchery that we want to get removed. So that asbestos has to go. And TVA is putting up the money to do those jobs. Again with TVA, this from a different fund. When the ash spill occurred at the Kingston steam plant, there was some money appropriated to the agency to be used at a future time on good things on Watts Bar Reservoir for fishing, and we've finally identified a project that we want to use that money on, and it's a fishing pier, possibly a courtesy dock on Watts Bar Lake in the vicinity of Ray Springs, or Spring City actually, sorry. This next project is $65,300 from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for work on aquatic nuisance species. This is funding that we have been receiving annually since we prepared an aquatic nuisance species plan for the service in 2008. And the money that Congress has been funding towards this has been increasing over time rather than decreasing, which has been good news for us. This is a small amount, but it makes a big difference at Carroll Lake. We had damage to our property there, and part of the insurance settlement has come into the agency, and we'd like to put that $6,600 back to Carroll Lake, where they've already spent this money essentially on some fencing and other work associated with the lake. This next item is maybe one of the first items that would be funded with the new state fuel tax funding. This is to restore the fishing pier, remove the existing fishing pier and put a new one in at the Paris Landing Marina. This is a very popular area and it's associated with the state park. They get a lot of traffic from there. So we're really excited to get this pier replaced. The fishing tournaments that use that marina use this as their check, the place where they check all the boats as they go out of the harbor. So they're excited to have this thing up and running sooner than later. This was originally budgeted for the FY19 budget, but the pier has dilapidated to the point where it's closed now. We'd really like to move it up to get as many seasons out of the new one as possible. And another state fuel tax funding project would be to partner with the city of Dunlap, where they're developing an access area on the Sequatchie River. The city has approached us. They have land. They're willing to do a lot of the construction work. They just need some help. We would like to help them at the tune of $50,000. This is a good project in that they'll do a project like this would probably be over $100,000, and they're willing to maintain the site into the future. So they'll take care of this over time. So that's a good deal for us. So there's 7 projects here. The Fisheries Division is asking for a budget expansion of $575,900.
Thanks, Frank. Questions? Do I have a motion to approve the expansion? So do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. After we get a second, I'd like to make a comment real quick.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
On the Aquatic River, that will be the only boat access ramp, and it's a big deal. It's my home county. Fishermen have been parking along the road, hand carrying their boats down to the river to be able to fish the river, so this is a really big deal for Dunlap, Tennessee.
I hope there'll be more, I hope there'll be another place for them to go after they put in, but I know that Mark Thurman and his crew has evaluated the river and said as much that it needs access. It's another place to be developed to get people out fishing. So it's overdue.
Any other discussion? Any comments from the public? All right, all in the favor of the budget expansion of $575,900, let me know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call on Mark Goodland.
Good afternoon. Wildlife Division would like to propose three budget expansions. The first one is for habitat projects under the Tennessee National Wild Turkey Federation projects. They have the state chapter has a super fund. It's called the Hunter Access and Habitat Super Fund, and they are putting up $15,000 of their match to be matched with $45,000 of PR funds, and these will just be for habitat projects, and you'll see on the various wildlife management areas that are located in all four regions of the state. The second budget expansion is a nationwide project we've been cooperating on the last several years, taking samples from waterfowl, testing it for highly pathogenic avian influenza. The $17,200 included in this project are 100% federal funds from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services to reimburse us for our costs in collecting these samples. And the third project would be accepting 100% federal funds from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and likewise we've done this for several years. This goes to wildlife habitat projects on private lands that benefit species of concern, as our private lands wildlife habitat biologists are working with landowners as they come up with habitat projects that will benefit these species of concerns, and they can utilize these funds. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has a Partners for Fish and Wildlife program that they operate themselves. They can get extra money from the Fish and Wildlife Service if it can be funneled through state agency, and so we accept these funds, and through our private lands habitat biologist, we expend those on good, worthwhile private lands habitat projects. So in total, between the three projects, would total $133,200 and would not be any licensed dollars.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Do I have a motion to approve the expansion?
I got a question down here.
All right, do I have a second? All right.
Thank you, Chairman. How do you obtain the samples for the waterfowl on the avian flu? Or is it waterfowl, or is it any birds at all?
I think it's primarily ducks, and I believe this year, like Jamie Feddersen has been able to go out and do all the collecting on that. Sometimes there may be some other regional personnel, and typically they have, I believe, a quota that certain number in Region 1, certain number in Region 2, so we collect those samples from hunter-killed ducks that come in, work a boat ramp when the hunters come in on a wildlife management area and ask them to take samples.
You're not trapping any at all? It's not like you could combine maybe banding with the sampling is all I was thinking.
Not for these samplings,
Okay.
I don't believe.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? All in favor of the budget expansion of $133,200, let me know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, thanks, Mark. All right, next we've got Chief of Real Estate, Tim Churchill.
You got your disc with you still? Uh-oh. Yeah, I got it somewhere.
While we're having technical difficulty, I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege here. I see Jim Hamilton back there and Mark Goodland, but my son and I were privileged enough to get to, after 11 years of putting in, got to hunt President's Island this year. And just a shout out to Chris Park, Daniel Stanfield. What a job well done. It's the most laid back atmosphere I've ever seen. But what a hunt to go on. My son, I think what we figured out is the youngest person to ever get to hunt President's Island. Started sending him in right after his 4th birthday. So he got drawn. But I did take an adult to hunt with him. I got to thinking about the 8-point rule and just knew that he needed somebody to count points. And thank God I took somebody, because the biggest deer he's ever seen in his life walked in front of him was 8-point. So I fully believe that I would be paying a ticket if I didn't have an adult with him. So anyway, but Jim, tell your guys, job well done, and if you guys aren't putting in for it, it's well worth the 10-year wait. Yep.
My request is for $200,000 to, it's my only request, of federal PR funds, wildlife restoration funds, to purchase this little corner tract here at Catoosa Wildlife Management Area. It is it's been a problem because it's been for sale for a while, and the last guy that wanted it wanted an easement that was almost a mile long through Catoosa to get to that track, because it doesn't have very good access. So in order to not have that issue arise again from somebody else who's interested in it, it'd be a good addition to the wildlife management area. It's 82 acres, and the match is coming from a grant from the Heritage Conservation Trust Fund, which is administered by TDEC.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this? A motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions from the public? If not, all in favor of the $200,000 expansion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, that concludes our business.
Thank you very much, Chairman Hulbert. I might turn, before we adjourn committees, to Ed Carter to give us the kind of schedule of events. I think that there's a pretty rapid transition to a tour of the property, and so would love for you to share with us what our timeline is, and if you could be our tour guide.
This afternoon, we wanted you all to see the rest of the property. We thought maybe the most expeditious way to do that was essentially an old-fashioned hayride, and we're ready to do that. They're actually waiting for us in 2 minutes, but they will hold until we get ready for whatever reason. If somebody needs to change clothes or whatever, we'll try to reconvene as quickly as we can, but we hope within 20 minutes, because daylight, it goes away pretty quickly this time of year. We'll be meeting directly in front of the hall right here, just outside these doors, and we'll go as long as we can. And then the temperature's falling, so dress appropriately.
Great. And with that, we will look forward to convening again at 9 a.m. Without objection, we are adjourned.